Views expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and callers, and are not necessarily those of this station, its management, or other advertisers. You're listening to Transformation Talk Radio.
This show's audio was via a Skype call.
Synergenetic Living Radio is a conscious reality creation journey. Tune in as Rick and Grace Paris teach you the innovative approach and new philosophy that will shift your entire paradigm of what it is to be a human being. Synergenetic Living is a living, breathing, conscious experience. As a shaman for 20 years, Rick Paris has been guiding people to fuller existences since his first workshop in 1995. He is well-versed in a wide variety of healing arts, including being an Enneagram expert. Grace Paris serves Synergenetic Living clients powerfully and beautifully by embodying the fundamental role of a feedback provider, graciously guiding people to their own realizations and higher purposes. On this show, Rick and Grace will share with listeners the key to unlocking the infinite potential of human consciousness in order to create a life of preference. Learn to author your own destiny with Synergenetic Living Radio.
Hello, everyone. I'm Grace Paris, and I'm here with Rick.
Hey, good morning. It's morning for us.
That's right. And you're listening to Synergenetic Living Radio. Stay tuned with us for the next hour and let us help you experience a new philosophy, a new way to heal yourself, and a totally new approach to life. Each Friday on Synergenetic Living Radio, we'll have new and exciting solutions to everyday problems in this time of chaos and great change. And actually, today is very exciting for me to share with you guys because this is really about Rick and his experience and something we don't tend to openly share in the beginning. So I asked Rick to share his story with us today, kind of how he was called to healing and where it's taken him. So wherever you would like to start, Rick.
Right on. Yeah, I sometimes I forget. Like one time I had done a bunch of speaking engagements, and at one point at the end of one of my times said, so who are you? Where did you get all this? And I was like, oh, maybe I should take a little time to talk about that. So I think this show, I'm just going to kind of give the history of how I got to where I am now. As far as being a healer, that was happening as long as I can remember. There used to be people that would come up to my mother and just out of nowhere say, your son's a healer. And of course, my parents were religious and they didn't really take kindly to that kind of communication. So they would really tell me, stay away from them. That's people that are into that are devil worshipers. You don't know what's going on. In the Bible, they say don't listen to prophecies and those kind of people and whatnot, so it wasn't encouraged at all. And I didn't think of it much, quite honestly, either. And like when I was in the first grade, and this was in the 60s, it was the first real wave of people getting divorced. And so apparently, I actually don't remember this. My mom told me the story where I always would show and tell whatever was going on in my life in class. I have a show and tell. And so I would talk about what was going on in my house, and apparently I was talking about my parents were getting divorced, and I explained it really well, and the school had asked me to have these after-school meetings and talk the kids through their upset about the divorce, and apparently I did that quite a few times, and so that was my first real act that I don't even remember, but after that I do remember people coming up to my parents and saying things like that and not being open to it. And so my parents, they were Catholics. And I never really liked the Catholic religion. It really bothered me as a little boy. I would tell my mom, I'd be so excited to go to church and all of a sudden they were making me feel guilty. And I really identified with that and saying, look, why do they make me feel guilty about what I'm doing? It's like, that's not right. God doesn't care if I'm doing this or doing that. I'm happy. And so around 10 years old, I was at my grandmother's house and I threw a fit about church, and my grandma was listening. My mom's like, you'll do what we tell you and you're going to go to church and do it the way we tell you, that kind of thing. And she sent me to the room, my grandma's room, and I was sitting back there and I heard my grandma tell her, hey, he's totally right. That's exactly what they do. And if he's 10 years old and he's already figured that out, maybe you should let him do what he wants. And so what I had figured out at the time was the Baptist made more sense to me, because it seemed like no matter what, you couldn't get out from the guilt and martyrhood and the pain and shame of Catholicism, which at the time I didn't recognize. Every single religion is based in shame, that you're damaged, you're a sinner, you're not complete, you're not whole, and you need to be whole, and there's no way you can do it without the help of God, kind of thing. So the Baptists believed that you were saved and you knew you were saved, and none of your works could get you into heaven, and you either were or you weren't, but people that got baptized knew that they were, and so forth. So I was like, I want to be a Baptist. I want to be a Southern Baptist. Plus, they believed that once you were punished, it was over. You get punished and you were free and forgiven. And that was something I liked as a kid, because that's how it worked. I got whipped or I put on restriction, but after it was done, it was over. So I agreed with the mindset in a lot of ways. So I went into the Baptist. So I got very involved in the church, and realizing at the time I was always involved in spirituality. And since religion was the only vehicle that I had seen, I was trying to find my way. And so by that time, comes around 28 years old, I'm starting to kind of get involved enough where I'm being considered as a bigger force, maybe a deacon or be a preacher. And so I was starting to get more bold about my statements. And so there was a few of the bylaws I didn't agree with. And so basically they called me in with a meeting and said, hey, this is what we believe in. You have to speak from here. You have to speak. And I said, but I don't agree with that stuff. Why do I got to agree with the whole thing? At the time I didn't realize, because that's what religion is. You agree and you push their agenda. And so I got a letter in the mail that I was excommunicated. And I was crushed.
Was it just like that overnight? Like, did you see that coming at all?
No, I thought everything was cool. They had a talk with me. I told them how I felt. Everything's great. So I didn't really think anything that I was going to be excommunicated. I mean, to me, that was like the worst thing that could ever happen to a person, is to be excommunicated. Like my uncle was excommunicated, and everyone always talked like, hey, he got excommunicated. He's got a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's like the ultimate shame.
Yeah. And I was really brokenhearted. I felt like I just got ejected from my family. But the beautiful thing that happened at the time was I realized there's all kinds of stuff out there that, because I was into this, I didn't look at. I didn't understand. So I got very involved in religious pursuits, and I was even just everything. I mean, literally, I think at least 2 weekends every month I was at some kind of seminar, learning about healing and learning about different religions and trying to decide where to go, and checking out Buddhism and Taoism and all this stuff, And I started recognizing they were all based in shame. I was like, they all think something's wrong with us all the time. And then I was walking through Santa Rosa, and this woman just grabbed me and she said, hey, do you know you're a healer? I'm like, yeah, I've heard that so many times before. But you know what? And I had started, to me, healing looked like, you get smacked on the forehead in church, or, you got to touch people and laying on the hands and this sort of thing. So I really didn't even know much more about it. And she said, well, what if I told you don't have to touch anybody to heal the way you do it? And then I got instantly interested, right? And so she turns out to be some gypsy shaman from Russia. And I end up studying with her for the next couple of years. And so I really realized shamanism is the ticket. That's spiritual, and it's self-authored. The more I studied about different and what I call myself is a non-traditional shaman, because what happens is, you adopt a system like a religion, and it has its own archetypes, it has its own myths and mythology. But what I started realizing, I had an epiphany about it all, and I said, you know what? All these people are kind of doing the same thing with different ways of doing it, but the common thread here was their beliefs preceded their experience. And I was like, yeah, this is about beliefs. This isn't about how you get there, like the form. It's about the function. What's behind all this stuff? So I really got into my lifestyle, and I really got into my experience. And so what was happening was I really got deeply involved in understanding that it's beliefs. Beliefs are the most important thing. And then the more I learned about beliefs, I started learning, well, that's what your subconscious really does. Your subconscious takes moments in your life that you're really feeling something intensely, and then you make up your mind about it. And if you're really feeling something strongly and you make up your mind, that's what sets your programs. Of course, all these shamans really believe in their myths. They really believe in their archetypes, and they get the results based on the way they feel and think about the archetypes. So I really started understanding that. But I didn't tell my family. I didn't tell my family for a number of years, actually, that I was pursuing being a shaman, because I didn't really want to get into it. I felt like I was going to be shamed and blah, blah, blah. And so in 97, my grandfather had Alzheimer's. And the interesting thing about that was he lived in Hayward, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time. So I would come back up to visit. And, I came up every 2 or 3 months. And my grandfather, every time I came home, he was fine. Everybody would tell me how hard it was. And every time I hung out with him, he was exactly my grandfather. We'd have great talks. We'd hang out. We'd go on a walk. He'd tell me that everybody was crazy, but he was totally sane. And my grandmother would say, he hasn't recognized a single person till you got here. So he would always feel better when I was around. And I didn't really understand the depth of that until later. So my grandfather, he ends up being on his deathbed kind of thing. And my grandma calls me and says, I think you better come home. So I go home, and he's unconscious, but he's in bed. And then I just ask everybody, can you guys just leave me alone for a while with my grandpa? My grandfather was my favorite person in the world. If it wasn't for my grandfather as a child, there's a good chance I never would have lived. It was very difficult in my family. My parents had been divorced. My stepdad didn't like me. He used beatings as a way to train a person, and very long restrictions for many, many hours in dark rooms. He was hardcore. But my grandfather, I got to see him on the weekends with my father. And my grandfather always supported me. He always thought I was smart. He thought I was a genius. And he would let me do anything. And I was always kind of a mechanical genius. I could hear something. I could reverse engineer it. I could understand why things were working, which essentially is with understanding that beliefs precede your experience. And like when I was 8, that's how I got my first motorcycle. I used to fix everything in the neighborhood. Parents heard I could fix things, and they would ask me to come over. Can you fix my washer, my dryer, my garbage disposal, things like that. And finally one day, one of my neighbors said, if you fix that motorcycle, you could have it. So I took the motorcycle apart. It took me 3 days, and I got the motorcycle running. And everybody was like, oh, my God, how did you do that? And I don't know either. I just know when I hear something a certain way, or I look at something, I can usually just figure out why it doesn't work. I didn't really need, for some reason, I didn't need any background. I just understood what I was doing. And so people are that way. I could hear something in their voice. I could hear when they change just by the way they say certain words, or the way they speak. And so my healing practice is really based on the way I'm listening to people. This is why we're always encouraging, call in, because my shows are much better when somebody interacts with me. I can hear them and I can walk them through a system. And many times people have the same problem. So while they're listening to the way I walk someone through an issue, they can get a lot of insight into their own way of doing things. So this entire system of Synergenetics is really a logical and reasonable way to understand what isn't logical. Because you can add logic to anything, and we need logic to understand things, but really reality creation is very complex. And if you don't understand a lot of the pieces, it gets very difficult. But when you do understand the pieces, it gets amazing, because you can really turn around and analyze what's happening in your life from an objective position. And since life is a reflection of a subjective experience, and you understand that everything's being created subjectively, but I have to have an objective perspective to understand what that is. So we're going to go on a break. You know, if you want to call in and ask me some questions, answer that, 1-800-930-2819, and we'll be back in a minute. Thanks.
Are you ready to stop stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem from running your life? Join award-winning author Dr. Friedemann Schaub for Empowerment Radio and learn breakthrough solutions to switch out of survival mode and approach every day with great ease, joy, and purpose. Tune in the first and third Wednesday at 11 a.m. Pacific to Empowerment Radio with host Dr. Friedemann Schaub on Transformation Talk Radio. Visit thefearandanxietysolution.com to learn more.
Calling all moms, it's time to awaken your vibrant, intuitive, loving self in every area of your life. Join host Debbie Pokornik as she shares thoughts, stories, and tools to help you stand in your power. Listen to Vibrant, Powerful Moms helping everyday women create extraordinary lives. Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. For more information about Debbie, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.
What is a brilliant culture, and how do we create them? Why are they important? Claudette Rowley has created a breakthrough 5-step process to help you align your culture with your business strategy for exceptional results. Looking for a culture that drives organizational excellence? Listen to Cultural Brilliance Radio, the second and fourth Friday of each month at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern on Transformation Talk Radio. To learn more or work with Claudette, visit culturalbrilliance.com.
Tune in to The Jen Royster Show, intuitive guidance to inspire your life, each Thursday at 8 a.m. Pacific and 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This amazing show is an inspirational hour that will take you on an epic metaphysical journey to discover the spiritual approach to life's greatest challenges. Dr. Jen is an internationally known intuitive counselor, spiritual teacher, and energy healer. Call in for intuitive readings and visit JenRoyster.com for more information.
Are you searching? Looking for a sign? A message you need to hear? From the great unknown, from the most mysterious place that is the most familiar to your soul in the depths of who you are. The universe put someone here to talk to, someone God gave a blessing to, that you may find insight with. TheAngelLady.net, 1-800-323-1790.
Are you stuck in unhealthy habits, toxic relationships, or low self-esteem? Do you crave a life of inspiration, love, self-acceptance, and fun? Sounds like you're on the verge to your next big thing. Join Laura Richer, host of On the Verge Radio, helping you use your breakdown for a breakthrough, overcome life's greatest challenges, and live the life you want and deserve. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio or visit SeattleHealingHypnosis.com for more information.
Hi, everyone. We're back on Synergenetic Living Radio. And if you're just tuning in, Rick is sharing his story. But before we dive back in, I want to make sure you know how to contact us. You can call in because we're live, 800-930-2819. Or if you want to find out more about us, www.synergeneticliving.com.
So yeah, anyway, I was just talking about the experience, my death, what led up to my death experience, what got me where I am today. So what was happening is, so my grandfather's on his deathbed, and I decide, okay, I'm at least going to tell my grandfather everything. He's dying. He's my favorite person. I'm going to share what I really understood. And it ended up being, I spent 3 hours. I spent 3 hours telling him everything that I had learned in the last 5 or 6 years. And of course, he died the next day. He didn't really say anything. He didn't come back or acknowledge me or anything, but I knew that he was there. I could feel him. I knew he heard what I said. And I basically told him, look, I understand that life is just an experience by our belief constructs. And if you could come back, next time you come back, you don't have to pick these kind of people to be with. You deserve better. And I told him a lot of that kind of thing, but I really broke down what I had understood at the time. And so I didn't think much more of it. I kept going to my healing seminars. I kept getting deeper into shamanism. I worked with a couple other shamans in the meantime. And then around 2000, I had the chance to speak to this kind of famous psychic that came from England to Los Angeles, and I got an appointment with her. And so I'm in her hotel room, and as we're doing the session, she keeps kind of looking behind me and making just little quirky faces. And I'm like, what the heck's going on? And so finally I look behind me, and nothing's behind me. And then finally she stops me. I'm sorry, I have to stop. I don't know what's happening. I don't talk to dead people. It's not my thing, but there's a guy in here and he says he's related to you and he really hasn't talked to you. Are you open to that? I don't usually do this sort of thing. And I was like, well, who does he say he is? And she asks him and says, it's your grandfather. And right away I'm like, okay, let's see what this is about. At the time I wasn't even sure I believed in psychic stuff. I was still kind of in the middle of really understanding from a new perspective so many of these things, And he said, it's your grandfather, and he says he just loves you very much, and you mean a great deal to him, and he understands how much he meant to you. And I'm like, yeah, that's all great. And then she got to this point and said, what he really wants you to understand is that everything you told to him on his deathbed was absolutely true, and he wants you to know that it changed everything, and he wants you to change everything. He knows, and so he says, what he wants you to do is dive into the way you were thinking, but 10 times deeper. And I just started crying. I was like, what? And I just, many years I cried about the story when I would tell this story, because my grandfather nobody could have impacted me the way he did in the moment that he did it. And I knew it was him. And they just said, yeah, your grandfather just wants you to know, go for it 10 times more. And I was like, 10? I'm already a crazy person as far as everybody thinks. The way I'm thinking and the way I'm taking my life apart and taking people apart. It's like a lot of people get very upset by my perspective. And so it really shocked me. And I didn't even know what to do with it, but I did it. I started just diving in deeper and saying, okay, I know that belief precedes our experience here. And at the time, I really thought that was like, of course, anybody can think what they want, and your beliefs are the ways, you're a reflection of your beliefs. But I didn't understand that the entire reality is a reflection of your beliefs. It really isn't just the way I perceive things, because people no, every single person in your life is a reflection of your unconscious mind, every single situation. And so I didn't really yet know that. But I went for it. I said, okay, I really learned a lot about the subconscious, and I had gotten deep into it, and I was changing beliefs, and I was watching my entire life change. And really getting, like, one of our tenets is form follows function. In physical reality, everything is a process, and everything exists through a process. If you can interrupt that process, then the form changes. So you don't really have to control the outside reality. You can, quotation, control reality from your inside world. Your inside world is more real than the outside world. Even quantum physics has proven everything's a vibration, everything's a frequency, nothing's really solid. So you understand that it really is everything. everything. And again, I didn't really get that, but I really did dive into understanding, and I was trying to, in a way, buy into that idea. I was realizing, well, I'm changing my life all the time by changing these beliefs and understanding that I have to have, in the realm of possibility, I have to have a space of probability, because you got possibility, you got probability, and you have actuality. You have three positions you're always working with. And nothing ever stays in possibility very often. You know, you can kind of stretch into possibility, but possibility is endless. But the extent that possibility squared is what's probable for you. When you cube possibility, that's what's probable. So what you're doing is you are creating the environment to exist in, unconsciously for the most part. But what we're trying to do is be more conscious about that. That's what being an awake person is. If I can direct reality from the inside and then watch the reflection shift, I know I'm doing the right thing, because life is reflecting the internal changes. And so I went into that deep. And so basically in 2006, and I'd already been being a practicing shaman for 12 years at this time. And then I was killed. And, it looks like a good time to go on a break. So we're going to go on a break. And I'll talk about being killed when we get back. Stay tuned. Thanks.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show, talk radio to thrive by. I am so thrilled to be talking to all of you. We have got talk radio for all of us. Are you ready and willing and able to accept all of the abundance you can muster up in your life? Yeah! Check us out at drpatshow.com, transformationtalkradio.com, transformationradio.fm. Oh my goodness.
Take your own journey with the angels with Claire Candy Huff's Heaven Sent Guided Angel Meditation CD. Letting go of concerns and living in the now. This beautiful CD walks listeners through practical exercises to help free them from the burdens, worries, and concerns of daily life.
Walking a quarter of the way across the bridge, you see a bright, emerald green light and sense a loving presence. This is Archangel Raphael's green healing energies, nourishing and revitalizing you. Take a moment now to bathe in this green healing light.
Giving you much more than just relaxation and stress release, this wonderfully narrated CD provides vivid visualization, soothing and inspiring music, and an angel's choir that will bring you peace, clarity, and a newfound awareness. Visit angelhealinghouse.com today.
To find answers to life's questions, you need to look within yourself. Dr. Glenna Rice brings your questionable conversations on Transformation Talk Radio each month. Tune in each month for insight into how you can live up to your full potential. Dr. Glenna is a physical therapist, certified Access Consciousness, and Access Body Class Facilitator. How does it get any better than this? For more information on Dr. Glenna Rice and her work, visit glennarice.com.
A word of caution: if you prefer the status quo and you are not interested in improving every aspect of your life, this book will trigger the shift out of you. The Truth is Funny, Shift Happens is available now. Author Colette Steffen brings the powerful knowledge and life-changing energy and empowerment from the radio airwaves to the pages of her new book. To get your copy in paperback or ebook, visit thetruthisfunny.com today.
On the cutting edge of the new mainstream, Christine Upchurch is passionate about bringing together science, psychology, and spirituality in a way that can be applied to our everyday lives for true transformation. The Christine Upchurch Show, stellar conversations to illuminate your journey, engages some of the most outstanding visionaries on the planet in lively dialogue to inspire you to become that bright light you're meant to be. Join Christine every Friday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time on KKNW, AM 1150, and Transformation Talk Radio.
Okay, we're back. So there's the one thing Grace reminded me that I want to say is the other thing I was doing was because I was learning that the subconscious holds the programs and has absolute perfect integrity and character. We teach this when we work with somebody, but in a nutshell, it has perfect integrity and character. It will duplicate a pattern. That's why you get in the same relationship again and again. Different character, but same qualities, because I'm the one, my programs are being reflected in this relationship. And so at the time, I had a vintage race car restoration business. I was one of the top automotive painters in the United States at the time. And I had a very successful business. And at the time, I used to get pissed once in a while. I'd go in my office and get mad. And I was realizing, God, anger is so intense. Why don't I program my subconscious? If it's an intensity and I'm mad, if I know what I'm saying at the time, I could program my subconscious just on the fly rather than going to meditative practice and whatnot. So I told my employees, hey, if I get pissed off, I'm going to get pissed off. Don't get worried if I'm just freaking out. I'm not mad at you guys. I just want to learn how to process my emotions in real time, and I don't know what it's going to look like right now. So something happened in the shop, and I went off. And what happened was, at the time, I was yelling, and I was really wow, I'm really feeling angry. This is great. And I remember I yelled, while I was yelling, I said, I want this different, God. I want it different. And I remember taking a floor jack and just swinging it across the shop. And everybody was looking at me like, what? And I was like, really feeling it. And I was like, I just want things to be different. Oh, I did it again. Sorry. So I'm not supposed to cuss on the radio. But anyway, I ended up processing that and feeling pretty good. And I even told my employees, okay, that's what I was feeling at the time. And it looked kind of weird, but I really feel like that's a powerful thing I'm doing.
Where were you at in your life when you were asking for a big change?
I don't know. I just wanted changes. I was working on changes, and I just wanted change. I don't even remember what it was. I just remember that's what I was demanding while I was angry, which it probably wasn't that big of a thing I wanted to change. But because I was yelling and feeling myself, 2 days later, I was killed. And the one thing you really want to understand when if you're doing anything like I was doing, the other command you want to throw in there is if you're demanding a change, you want to say with harm to none. Because your subconscious will obeys you already. You're the conscious one. You're the one that directs. So you are the one that gets to decide. But if it's not and intense enough, so let's say the way you put the program in was much more painful, much more intense, you're not going to really overwrite the program without an equal intensity or releasing that intensity and then creating a new intensity. So anyway, I was intense when I said it. And so sure enough, 2 days later, I was dead. And what happened was I was running across the street trying to beat traffic on a 6-lane highway. And I was just being in a hurry and ran across 3 lanes, jumped over the barrier, sprinted across 2 lanes. And when I got to the last lane next to the sidewalk, there was cars just doing 40 miles an hour because it was a green light and a clear lane. So I just got nailed. I got hit by 2 cars. First car was undrivable. I went through the front end, and the thing is, the whole moment was so slow-mo. I remember thinking, oh no, I'm going to get hit. And I'm running as fast as I can. I'm not going to make it, and I can't stop running when I'm sprinting as fast as I can. So all I remember is telling myself, jump and roll. And I remember thinking, oh no, I'm on the wrong foot. I can't jump on this leg. And I jumped and spun, and the car hit me, and I saw the car just bending around my legs and the hood slamming me down and the hood caving in and buckling up on the sides and hitting the windshield. And it felt like a mattress. It broke, but it didn't feel painful. And I was laughing in my mind like, yeah, because I remember just thinking, just be the man, hit the car, dude, don't give in. So the buffalo in me just kind of met the car head on.
Yeah, just so you guys know, Rick moved to LA to be a stuntman.
Yeah, I had
this
moved
is not
to
foreign
LA
to him.
to do this. So, I mean, I kind of had an idea what to do. but you don't get hit at 40 miles an hour when you do these things. So anyway, as soon as the windshield broke and I was going toward, the roof hit me, and the edge of the roof buckled and flipped back, but I basically was killed instantly, and I was laughing when I was dying, like, wow, that's the hardest I've ever taken a hit. But because I had done so many journeys, I had done DMT, I had done ayahuasca, I had done iboga, I did so many, I really understood that place between life and death. And I recognized what was happening. And I went through the light. I died. I didn't stay in between long at all. But you see, most of the time when you hear near-death experiences, and this is how you know a death experience, and most people, I haven't even talked to anybody who had a full death experience other than myself. And I'm sure they're out there, but I haven't really met one yet. Most people have near-death experience. And the way you know that is physical reality exists in a space. Death is another space, and in between the two is another space. It's like the overlap of both. So an NDE, a near-death experience, you're usually, what's the word I use? You're usually framing. You're framing everything in the physical. You might not be in your body. You might be walking around the hospital. You might be understanding everything. You can fly around. You can do all these crazy things because after death is influencing the life experience. So you're in between the two places, so you take on the qualities of both. You're kind of a magical, amazing human being that doesn't have to eat, doesn't have to sleep, isn't in pain anymore, but you're still connected to the physical. When you actually die, you actually leave physical experience, you leave it completely. And what happens is, the best way I can explain it is, you're a huge being. Like so huge, it's impossible for you to fathom who you really are. But what you move into when you leave is a more real you, more the God being. You know you're not God. You know you're not goddess. You know that there's both. You know that there's a synergy that the both are creating, and that's where you exist. You exist in the synergy that God, goddess, all that is. You are part of all that is, a spark of consciousness that has all the energy, all the abilities that God has. But God, goddess has. But you got to learn how to do it. And that's what physical reality, you're really here to learn how to be a creator because it's real time. You have time. You created time. Time is here to slow down so you can see how you're doing and make adjustments, because if you were creating reality on the fly here and you didn't have any subconscious boundaries, you'd be in this ever expanding place creating reality as I go, and there would be no structure. You can't do it. So you make these choices before you come into reality. So you're a massive, massive being. And the way I can see that is the physical reality looked like a grapefruit, let's say, or a softball. And the entire physical experience is that big compared to how big you really are. But when you dip into this experience, it's a ball of possibility, and that's all it is. It's an environment that you dip into, and the God being that you are makes choices before you come here. And then when you enter, your choices combined with possibility create. And that's like your astrological sign, your Enneagram drive, maybe even your human design is all part of that pre-choice that creates the structure for you to come into. You don't live lifetimes consecutively. When you first dip into the ethers, the auric, the realm before the physical.
The liminal?
It's a liminal, but there's a name for it, and I'm losing it at the moment. But anyway, there's a space before you actually get here that you reinforce your choices. And then you enter physical reality. But what happens is you're this massive being. Well, I had recognized that life was a reflection. I had understood it enough that when I was dead and out of the universe, there's nobody in the universe. When you exit possibility, it returns to possibility. There's nobody here. When you die, there's no legacy, there's no family, there's no friends. There's just other people in their own universes doing their own thing. And it's like a big bubble bath. Our bubbles touch each other. When we experience each other, our bubbles touch. But when your bubble separates, you're in totally different universes. So what you're doing is you're really here to be an artist. Because, for instance, you can draw a straight line in the universe, but there is no natural place in the whole universe where a straight line exists. Geometry is just a belief construct. It isn't real, and it doesn't even reflect nature. But you understand what a straight line is, and you can make a straight line. Outside of space and time, they don't even know what a straight line is. They have no concept of it because they've never had a physical experience. Most consciousness does not enter the physical experience. That's why everyone thinks, oh, it's so hard, I don't want to be here anymore. You do want to be here. You just got the belief construct that it's crappy and sucks, and I don't understand that I'm the one creating that dynamic.
Yeah, it's hard to grow and change.
Yeah, all those beliefs that you hold, which makes physical experience difficult, but they're your experience. And of course, that's a big birthday cake that takes a lot of time to incorporate. But since reality creation is a process and your awakening is a process, you just have to understand everything's a process. And when I understand the function, the process changes. And that's where the God being comes in. That's where a person can really appear to be magical in physical reality. Like, I could say this and it happens. For instance, well, I don't want to get into that actually right now. But so understanding belief precedes experience. So when I was dead, I really got it. But what would happen is if I dipped my finger, let's say, it wasn't like that, but let's just say metaphorically, I dipped my finger into space and time. What I see before you pick a body is a sea of possibility. It wasn't anything, but now it's an ocean. And there's all these waves in this ocean. And these waves are different life experiences. Some are bigger, some are small, most of them just look like the ocean. You just can't really discern one from another. But let's just say when I dipped in, I could see this one tsunami wave. And of course, now I'm interested because I see this endless ocean, but there's a tsunami. Well, when I check the tsunami, like I look at it farther, I'm like, that was the lifetime I was enlightened. Oh my God, I was enlightened and I didn't even realize. Knowing that you create your own reality is what enlightenment is. Knowing how to act and respond to life appropriately is what enlightenment is. The current definition of enlightenment is all messed up. Gandhi was not enlightened. Eckhart Tolle is not enlightened. Deepak Chopra is not enlightened. They do not understand that they are reality creators. Enlightenment comes from understanding that you're a reality creator and you are responding to your reality that way. Now the light bulb has gone off. Now you're starting to act as a God being, and now the life is going to reflect to you your patterns even deeper in order to change them because you've woken up to that. We're going to go on break, and we'll be right back. Stay tuned.
Calling all moms, it's time to awaken your vibrant, intuitive, loving self in every area of your life. Join host Debbie Pokornik as she shares thoughts, stories, and tools to help you stand in your power. Listen to Vibrant, Powerful Moms helping everyday women create extraordinary lives. Mondays at 2:30 Pacific, 5:30 Eastern. For more information about Debbie, visit empoweringenergy.com. That's empowering with letters NRG.com.
Is traditional medicine not working for you? Do you still feel as if your health isn't 100%? Here at the Holistic Medical Center, Dr. Nushin Darvish and the qualified staff look through the dimensions of wellness and start a healing plan prioritized to your needs. Our physicians assess the whole you until complete health is achieved. Get the help you need by visiting drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
Do you know how to achieve wellness in all areas of your life? Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. Signs of wellness are a capacity to love and ability to nurture, a sense of purpose, a good sense of humor and plenty of fun in your life, a concern for others and a respect for the environment, a conscious commitment to personal excellence, a sense of balance and integrated lifestyle, and capacity to cope with whatever life presents. Well, people enjoy their lives and want them to last as long as possible. That's why the wellness mindset usually accompanies other constructive, healthy lifestyle habits. By adopting a wellness mindset and behaviors like eating well, taking the right nutrition for the body, exercising, and saying affirmations are just a few things to structure a healthy system of values and beliefs. I will be your wellness coach to help you achieve a wellness lifestyle. Call us at 888-777-4232. That's 888-777-4232. And visit us at MaryJaneMack.com.
Conscious Confidence Radio, a timeless wisdom with Sarah Main. Tune in each month on Transformation Talk Radio and join Sarah on an adventurous journey to the deeper level of meaning to move beyond today's world of constant change, confusion, and uncertainty beyond the shadow of fear. This hit show explores key concepts such as confidence, values, and attitude in a dynamic way. To learn more about Sarah and her work, visit sarahmain.com.
Defining success and putting minds to work. With the Higher Learners Career and Leadership Series, Rudy Racine will help you craft your personal definition of success, offering support and guidance as you move forward towards your goals. Take the leap. With the right mix of focus and motivation, anything can be achieved. Tune in every first and third Monday at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 Eastern, and for more information on Rudy Racine and Higher Learners, visit Rudy's site at higherlearners.com. That's HIRE learners.com.
Okay, and we're back. So in the meantime, when I was dead, I could see what was, and I see this wave, this tsunami, and when I checked it out, it was my lifetime. And because I had understood enough and woke up, that lifetime, in essence, energetically lifted above the rest because it was a standout lifetime. It was a lifetime that I had gotten in touch, and it was right there, like in front. And so I realized at that moment, well, belief precedes experience, and because reality is an illusion, I can go back, and right away in my head, I heard yes. And then I remembered, oh yeah, anything I want to know here, I just have to formulate a question. So for me, I was gone 5 years. I spent all the time in the world I wanted dead, knowing I was going to come back to that lifetime because that lifetime elevated that I knew that I could find it. I could find that space and time, but it's also like I could see the lifetime was over, like a spark on 4th of July expands and then goes out. But there were other sparks right next to it, like a gradient, if you will, of color. Like, oh, there's like 5 lifetimes like bunched around that or look exactly like the same lifetime for every tense of purpose. So I got everything I wanted to know, and I decided to go back. So I get back in the liminal, and then I get back in. I'm not in my body, but I'm standing there. I'm looking at my body. There's blood all over. My body's all tweaked out on the sidewalk. Everyone's standing around talking about it. What a bummer. It wasn't the guy's fault. I came out of nowhere. And I'm thinking, okay, I got to get back in. And I was panicking because as I had this massive information I thought I was going to come back with, as I was dropping into the auric field, all the information started falling away. Like the computer wasn't big enough to hold everything. And I realized that's why people don't remember who they are, because you're making your resonance so defined, so dense to make it real and physical that you can't hold all that information. Plus your unconscious mind has it, but your subconscious mind filters out all the extra information, only the information pertinent to this lifetime. So, but I still felt really powerful. I felt like I could do it. I knew what was going on because I was outside my body. So I remember, okay, the way to get in, and this is really important, anybody who's in a coma, anybody is in this situation, if you ever find yourself outside of your body and your body's still there, you can make a lot of healing choices about that while you're outside because you're very powerful. You still hold a lot of, let's just say, God energy at that point. So you can heal yourself, but your spirit has to be born again. Your soul is forever, but your spirit is temporal and non-temporal. When you come into the physical reality, because you're being birthed into a new experience, the soul has to be there, and then the spirit has to choose. It needs the spark. So I knew I had to take a deep breath with a focus of being back in my body. So I take this deep breath, boom, I'm in my body. Now I'm gasping for air. I'm freaking out. And everything hurts, and now everyone runs, oh my God, he's alive. And, I've been dead for 18 minutes. So, of course, they're panicking, and the woman, ER person, when she sits next to me, my shirt was open already, and her hair grazed my chest, and it felt like razor blades. I screamed, and I looked down, and I was like, oh, my God, everything hurts so bad right now. And then she put the blood pressure thing on my arm and started pumping it up, and the other dude's trying to poke an IV into my foot, and it feels like a nail, and the blood pressure thing literally feels like it's breaking my arm. I start yelling, get it off, get it off. And then I tell her, get away from me, nobody catch me. And they're like, sir, do you know? I said, I know what's going on. I said, let me tell you something. Just leave me alone. I need to go in a little micro meditation. I'm fine, leave me alone. And I get in my thing and I'm like, oh my God, I need help. Please, somebody, my higher self, I need help. I know what just happened to me, and at the same time, I'm freaking out, right? And so I just asked for help, and I wake up and I said, now you can touch me. So they come in and I said, look, if you guys listen to me, I'll walk out of the hospital injury-free in the morning. I can do that, but I need you to listen to what I'm saying. So, of course, they do. They're like, okay, whatever. And they're doing all their work in the ambulance on the way. And I get into ER and I said, who's in charge? Guy walks out, I'm in charge. I said, okay, look, I know I just got hit. I know that this is an amazing situation right here because the police officer in the ambulance told me I'd never seen a human body get hit that hard and live. I've seen many people get hurt less and die, or at least be in a coma, but not someone awake. And I said, well, watch, I'll walk out of the hospital tomorrow. I understand what's going on here. I understand reality like I never did before. It's why I hold the line for our clients and for people. Yeah, you don't have to learn this, but if you can incorporate what I'm saying, you don't have to die and come back. And if you do die, there's a good chance you can get yourself back in without being born again, which is the whole point. The whole point of being an immortal God being is to understand if I don't lose my consciousness, if I understand the path and I understand how I leave my body and come back, I don't really have to be born again. That's just the way I began the process. So you can interrupt this process and come back healed. You can come back anytime. You can come back to any lifetime. But with this information of being enlightened while you're here, of understanding what enlightenment is. So I hold the line. I know that I know what I'm talking about. I'm a mechanic. It's like if someone comes to me, the minute they start talking, I hear it in their voice when they're not doing the right thing. And I can troubleshoot them. It's just being a mechanic and understanding what I know. So in the meantime, I say that. And all I tell the guy is, look, the future creates the present. You don't need to know that, but that's what I'm doing. Every test you do, you just tell me what the good result is. Tell me what needs to happen for me to walk out of here. So they're like, okay, you've got to put you in a CT scan, and I don't even remember now. It needs to be negative, and so positive, whatever. I get in there, I do a meditation, I work with my guides while I'm in there. I come out, and they're like, no, your brain's fine, but for sure you got internal injuries, so let's do that. They do their little scan, I do the same thing, nothing. Then I go into the X-ray, I do the work, nothing, and then by like 5 hours later, they're like, there's nothing wrong with you, you got a concussion. But don't go to sleep because people often go into comas. I'm going to sleep. I just want some eggs in the morning, and if I'm good, I want to be released. So the cop stayed in the bedroom all night because he said, well, if you're going to go to sleep, there's a chance you're going to die. And I said, well, look, I'll take responsibility. None of this is the driver's fault. It's all my problem. I'm the one I'll take responsibility for this. If I do die, I don't want dude getting hammered for this, And so anyway, I go to sleep, I wake up in the morning, 6 doctors, and they're like, dude, how'd you do that? And I said, well, you're not going to understand, but I'm happy to explain it to you. And I explained to them the process of what to do. And so, they released me, and I went home, and I was fine. I got hit on a Wednesday. I was killed on a Wednesday. I went back to work Monday morning. I was sore for a couple days, but so reality is an entire function of your belief construct, and that's a big thing to understand, and you're not taught, but we are living our lives essentially backwards right now. And that's why we're having so many problems in the world. That's why the systems are breaking. The reason the systems are breaking is because you're relying on them and they're inhibiting your growth. So you're going to create a breakdown because you don't know you're conscious yet. And so we help you do that. We help you become conscious. And if you have an issue and you call in, I'll run you through the issue in a way that is aligned with the way you think and feel. So I'm not telling you what to do or how to do it. I'm just telling you what's broken. And here's how to fix it. And so that's what we do. And it's a combination of years of understanding this, working with people, and a death experience, which gave me a perspective that you can't get any other way. I'm so grounded in who I am and what I think and what I know that I hold the line for people because I know no matter what you come up with, it's a belief and I'm going to find it. I'm going to find how to help you. I don't have the answers to everything, but I guarantee I have a solution for everything. And when we work together, I can find that solution no matter what the problem is. Geopolitical, political, socially, relationship, it doesn't matter. It's all the same structure underneath it all. So anything you want to add? Gee, I know I didn't You didn't talk much today.
No, it's okay. I'm happy to share Rick's experience, and really, he takes years and years of very diverse experiences and applies them to our clients and helps them move in a much more elegant way, so you don't have to go through all that he went through. So yeah, if you want to find out more how to work with us, synergeneticliving.com, or you can email us, info@synergeneticliving.com. And thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it as much as we did.
Yeah, thank you so much. Have a great weekend.
And we'll see you here next Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Aloha.
Tune in on Transformation Talk Radio for the latest on Synergenetic Living Radio with Rick and Grace Paris. Learn how to get clear on the life you desire. Synergenetic Living is a living, breathing, conscious experience. Rick and Grace will teach you the art of utilizing the future to create the now with a sense of artistic and absolute power, having dominion without domination. For more information on Rick and Grace Paris and Synergenetic Living, or to download an episode of Synergenetic Living Radio, visit synergeneticliving.com.